Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Cecilia Reinecke, head of school at, sorry, I'm just checking my sound there. Sorry, everybody. I just wanted to double check that that was working. I'm Cecilia Reinecke, head of school here at CambriLearn, and we're so glad that you guys have joined us for tonight's important conversation.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Hugo Mendes. I'm a specialist education consultant at CambriLearn, and I'm coming to you live from Dubai. In fact, I want to say we're coming to you from all over the world, being a global school. Cecilia, you're in Cape Town. I'm in Dubai, right? And I just want to
Absolutely.
add that I'm a parent myself, as is Cecilia. She's a parent of 3 children. So we're here to guide you with this homeschooling choice. Navigating education for children can be overwhelming. We're here for you.
And speaking of where we are joining you from, Ivan, who is one of our head teachers, a mentor, all-round education champion. Ivan is based in Belito, which is in KZN, close to Durban. So we are very excited to introduce you to Ivan Kelly. He also happens to be one of the students. He's often the favorite teacher of our students. So we warm welcome to you, Ivan. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you, Hugo. Thank you for that warm welcome. So welcome, everybody. I hope that today's webinar is going to be very informative and helpful for you. And as you've noticed in the world, obviously, I mean, the world is always changing, but at the moment, it just seems to be changing a lot. And education has not been unaffected. And there really is a big shift in education. And that is the big question. Why are so many families rethinking traditional education? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And in particular, we want to just put you at rest, to just help you, to put you at ease with any concerns that you might have with online schooling. So why are so many families rethinking traditional education? Well, look at what it is like in a traditional school. You've got large classes that just seem to be growing. Mental health concerns, bullying, rigid schedules, this one size fits all, where a student must just go into a class and just go along with everybody else. And these challenges aren't new. And parents are learning that they don't have to just put up with all these difficulties. Online learning allows students to be able to work at their own pace. It provides new opportunities to students. At CambriLearn, we have concessions in place to accommodate students with learning difficulties that you're not going to get in a traditional classroom. Students can re-watch a lesson. You can't do that in a traditional classroom. We record our lessons so students can re-watch them. They can chat directly to their teachers via the chat without pressure or judgment from other students. Autistic students, for example, they may struggle in social settings where it's very loud. And many students with special needs, many of our clients, some of our students, they have special needs, and they have a personal tutor who meets those needs, and then they use our platform to provide them access with academic support and our academic content and services. So what is new is this widespread availability of personalized, flexible online learning, and families are leaning in. And this isn't a trend, it's a response to a system that's no longer working for everybody. At CambriLearn, we have worked with thousands of families all around the world to redefine what learning can look like, and today we're going to show you how. So let's debunk the big 3 concerns. So what are your concerns in education? Why, you think of online learning and you might be a bit worried about a few things. Well, 3 big concerns are the following: structure, socialization, the academics. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and maybe put you at ease to hear that all of those things are taken care of with online learning. So what does a typical day look like for a student? How do kids stay on track? So when a student logs onto our system, they have a dashboard. And on that dashboard, everything that they need is there, right? They got dates and times of their lessons, so they know when they need to meet. And of course, if they, our students, they have very flexible lives, or dynamic lives, so they require flexibility. So if they can't make a particular lesson, it is recorded so they can go and watch it. But on that dashboard, they've got those lesson recordings and they have the dates and times of the live lessons that they can attend. They have all the courses they are enrolled for, And for each course or subject, it's divided into weeks so that a student can easily manage their workload. And on that schedule, divided into weeks, assignments are slotted in, so the students know exactly when assignments are due and when they need to do them. So there's the student is not left alone. Everything is provided for them. And there are weekly check-ins with their teachers. And I must say that the British syllabus or the British curriculum is very flexible. So we have students all around the world, like Hugo said, that are joining us. And so they come into the course at different times, and there's immense flexibility for them. A lot of our students do maybe, like one of our students does competitive surfing. So he can go off to his competitions and still sort of work around with his schooling, work around his schedule, his busy schedule with the schooling. And that's just one example of many. So we provide a lot of structure and a lot of support. However, with our local curriculums for the CAPS and the IEB and the KABV, if I said that correctly, that's got to do, there's a lot of local legislation involved with the South African curriculum. So there's not much flexibility. There are deadlines. There's a lot of moderation procedures that need to take place, a lot of admin work that needs to follow, and a lot of reporting procedures. So unfortunately there's not so much flexibility. But on the British side, there's immense flexibility. Right, so structure. Yes, there's structure in place. So you don't need to worry about that. What about socialization? That's one I hear a lot. Will my child become isolated? Well, at CambriLearn, we are intentional about ensuring that our students have the opportunity to engage with other students beyond the virtual classroom. So let's look at a few things that are happening at CambriLearn on a regular basis. Here's an example in the primary school. Every week, they have an exercise club. And teachers, some teachers do like a dance routine. So it's kind of like a follow along. The teacher does exercises and the kids at home follow. And they put their cameras on so the teacher can actually see that the students are following along. And they love it. They also have monthly socials. One example of one of these socials, the one that I particularly liked, was a themed collaborative storytelling. So what happens is each student adds a sentence to the story and they construct a story that way. They had a World Book Day where the students dress up as their favorite character, and then they tell their friends in the class all together about their favorite book. I like that one as well. And then for World Earth Day and Art Day, students submitted art relating to the planet, and then they had an online exhibition. And it was so well attended that it actually maxed out. The Zoom call couldn't take all the attendees. So that was very popular. There was a camp last year in Cape Town and Johannesburg, and this year we're doing it again this year, and there will be one in KZN, I believe. So that's quite exciting. We also partner with event companies to host matric dances and matric farewells for our grade 12 students, and they absolutely loved it. So, and then on top of that, a lot of our students attend their own sports clubs. In my lessons, when you start a lesson, and yes, I'm a teacher at CambriLearn, so yes, I engage with the students every day. And while you're waiting for the students to attend, you chat to them and asking how things are going. And there's a student here in Belito as well who does golf, and every week he's got to tell me where he came in the weekend competition. And I'm always keen to hear what prizes he gets, because with golf you earn big prizes, and he does get nice prizes as well. We've got gymnasts. We've got, like I said, a competitive surfer. There's and they're all, and then in the chat, wow, then students all have to tell me all the different sports they're doing. They do a lot. A lot of our students belong to those sorts of clubs as well. So there's socialization that can happen there as well. But no matter what, our students have every opportunity to connect and socialize with their peers in one way or another, and that gives them a well-rounded online schooling experience. Right, now with the academics, I'm going to hand over to our professional, Cecilia, since she is the principal, and she can tell you more about that.
Thank you, Ivan. I now know that my mic is working. So so I'm ready for this one. So a lot of people do ask the question, is online learning effective? And I mean, it's completely understandable that people are going to ask that question, because we are completely used to brick and mortar schools. That's how most of us grew up. We went to a physical school where we were all with other students in a classroom. Our teachers were in front of us. And then, of course, we know COVID hit. And so many schools now have got an online option. So we're looking at a lot more hybrid schools, and then we have a lot of pure online schools. So to answer the question, is online learning really effective? The short answer is yes. When done correctly, online learning can be just as effective, in many cases more effective than traditional in-person education. So one of the benefits of online learning is that it allows for personalized learning at scale, where education plans can now be tailored for each individual, and each learner can work at their own pace, and they can even submit their assignments when they are ready to submit their assignments. So they don't feel pressure that everybody has to submit their work at the same time. That is something that was completely unheard of when I was at school. I mean, if I wasn't ready to do an assignment, then you get 0 for it. So the British curriculum, especially that you also spoke about earlier, Ivan, is so flexible. And the fact that students are then able to work at their own pace, that builds their confidence. And they're able to work ahead in subjects where they are stronger, because most students are stronger at certain subjects. You'll often find students who are very good at math and science, for example. They might not enjoy English that much, or they might not be as strong with English. And it's okay, because now they can progress with mathematics, they can progress with science without feeling that they are inadequate because they're not keeping up with English. So that is one of the biggest benefits of online learning that makes it so extremely effective. It's an approach of, it's not a one size fits all schedule. We understand that each student is genuinely an individual, and because of the way our online school is structured, we are able to accommodate each learner where they are in their learning journey. Another huge benefit of online learning is that it equips students with very important 21st century skills, such as self-discipline, time management, independent learning. A lot of students leave school. I mean, this is just a fact. Students leave school, they go to university. What happens at first year varsity? The dropout rate is extremely high, because students don't know how to work independently. They don't understand time management, whereas online learning supports students and helps them with those skills, especially when we have parents on board. So another very important part of ensuring that online learning is effective is having parents that are on board and supporting the students. That is extremely, extremely important. And then, I mean, one of our greatest strengths, of course, is the flexibility that you spoke about already, which is very interesting. I mean, I know a couple of years ago, we had a student who was sailing around the world. That's what they were doing. They were sailing around the world with their family. I mean, how incredible is that? But learning at the same time, not falling behind, because they were at that stage, they were doing the British curriculum. That's an internationally recognized curriculum. They can do that on a boat while sailing around the world and getting to a top-tier university. Also, I mean, just the whole global shift towards online learning and hybrid learning is evidence that online learning is not just a passing trend. It's a sustainable and forward-thinking model of education. I know that the Department of Education in South Africa is even looking at recognizing online schools now. The fact that we are registered with Sakai, that we are in the process of being registered with IEB, shows you how different exam boards, we are accredited with Pearson EdXL, which is one of the top British exam boards in the world. The fact that all these exam boards are recognizing and accrediting and allowing online school to be registered shows you that this is working. But again, I'd like to just emphasize the importance of having the parents on board as well, because that's truly what makes online learning effective. And then just to brag about some of our past students. I mean, our students, because the majority of our students have always been based in South Africa, our students typically they go to the likes of your Stellenbosch, your Wits, your Monash, your any university in South Africa, the CambriLearn students often go into those varsities. And then we've had a couple of international universities. We often have students who look at going to America. That's quite a popular choice choice of study for students. And then, of course, a lot of our students, especially our students who are doing the British curriculum, go and study in the UK. And we've had students go to the likes of London School of Fashion, London School of Economics, the University of Glasgow, to name a few of the varsities that our students have gone on to study with. Yeah, so I know that we are now going to actually show a little clip from one of our families that has actually been a CambriLearn family. So I believe we're going to show a little testimonial video of that now.
Hi, my name is Davina, and I have 2 boys at the moment that are following CambriLearn. They are 13 years old and 10 years old. We started our journey with CambriLearn back in the middle of 2021, and although I had said I would never homeschool, it has been a very good journey. And what I want to say to moms who feel the same way as I did is, don't look at it as homeschooling, think of it as online schooling, where you have a clear structure. Every week you are told what you're meant to achieve, while having the flexibility to spend longer on topics that are more difficult or that your kids may struggle with. So you have the freedom to spend longer on those and fly through things that are easy, and I really enjoy that. You are not left alone. There is assignments every 4 or 5 weeks to check that you're on track or that your child is on track, and there's also reports at the end of the year. So you're not left to fend alone and wonder if you're doing it right. There's a clear support and system. So that's to demystify the myth of homeschooling. As for social, my kids do have extramurals, and so that helps with the social elements of homeschooling. So yeah, just wanted to bring that through, and I hope this helps. Bye.
Thank you, Cecilia. And just a side note about Davina's youngest son, he recently won our CambriLearn Science Fair. So congratulations to him as well. Now, this isn't an exception. These are everyday realities. Online learning is the right way to unlock your child's potential. And like Cecilia said, I mean, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. Our students go on to succeed in academic careers. So yes, so certainly academics is not something to be concerned about. And I just think it's wonderful that there's such access to different curricula around the world. You know, in a traditional school, you're sort of constrained to whatever's locally offered. But here, we can open the doors to international opportunities. Right, so you might be wondering, what would it take to actually go into and start online learning? What would a transition be like? Is it abrupt? Is it a lot? Is it a great expense? What's involved? Well, let's start looking at the tools that are required for a smooth transition. And we need to think smart. And like Cecilia said, it's very important that the parents are on board. And once you have the parents on board and you've got good academic support like you're going to get from CambriLearn, then you've got a winning combination and a winning recipe. So let's look at that transition. What would a smooth transition look like? Well, the first thing you need to do is to set up a learning space at home. And it doesn't have to be elaborate or anything. You don't have to recreate a classroom that you would, like a traditional classroom, but rather the important part is to create a dedicated space for learning. Preferably a quiet space where there's a sturdy table, no traffic, place to keep things like books and everything. So basically, you don't want to have a place where the child has to pack up every day, for example, maybe the dining room table, and you want to eat at it in the evenings. You need a space where the student can go to and it's always set up and they're ready to work. That just makes it more inviting and just easier to get started. So as long as you've got a good space, that helps where the student can sit and focus. There must be good lighting, good ventilation, and it's ergonomics that matter. You want your child to be comfortable and alert. Digital organization is also important. And like I mentioned earlier, all of that is provided on our platform. So on the student's dashboard, there's a lot of order already. Generally speaking, the only tech that is required is a computer, internet access, and a printer. Excuse me. Now, there are other opportunities as well. So you might not want to have your child at home, but we also have learning centers. So I'm going to ask Hugo if you can come and talk to us about hybrid learning and our tutor centers.
Thanks, Ivan. Yes, so some parents are concerned about socializing. You've mentioned that, and they feel like the best way to get the best of both worlds is to have a school environment, but a micro school environment. So you drop off your child, they are in a place that they have secure and safe facilitation of their learning. So they've got suitably qualified supervisors, adults in the room who can govern their learning, hold them accountable. But they've also got peers they can socialize with. So they're in good company and they are out of the home and they're experiencing more of a school environment, a fuller school life. They're not just doing academics, they often have the offer of social, emotional support, motivation, counseling, events, social functions. They've got facilities where they might be able to do sport or cultural, dance, music, learn to play an instrument, be in a band, choir. They can exercise. They can actually get physical exercise done in person. So we actually advocate for that model. We believe that to bring out the best in education and the best in a child, you need to have a blend of multi-sensory online learning, absolutely, because that brings a whole dimension to personalization. Like Cecilia, you said, you can't really personalize on scale at a great number of if you don't have tech to assist you as a technology. But you also want to humanize it. You want to have the human touch. And that's what we do. And we've got affiliates throughout the world that do this very successfully. They can cater to learning differences, to neurodiversity. They can cater to children who want to learn at their own pace. So they can be flexible in the timing arrangements. Children don't have to go at a particular time. So adolescents who tend to wake up later and need to have different rhythms to their learning, they can learn at their own time. They can learn flexibly. So even though they're going to a place of learning and co-learning with other peers, they're not in a regimented, rigid environment that is often typical of the traditional classroom. And that's the modern space that we're offering in this hybrid solution. And we call these partners of ours affiliates. So affiliates are tutor centers, learning spaces, sometimes held at traditional schools where children can learn online with CambriLearn, but be supported physically on hand and then socialize with their peers in a healthy, governed way. I hope that makes sense, Ivan, but that's really, in a nutshell, what tutor centers and hybrid learning is all about.
Absolutely. And Hugo, tell us, which countries are these learning centers in?
Wow. So we have students, partners on the ground in all the territories we have children in. So we actually like to always have the offer of hybrid solutions and tutor centers that you can go and learn at, and you don't have to do this at home alone. So actually throughout the world, including in Dubai, where I am right now, we've got partners who are very successfully helping children do this form of learning, which can sometimes be quite tricky for parents to implement. So here you've got guides on the ground that can help you with this process and make it so much more attainable. Let it flow so much more effectively. And that's the offer. CambriLearn is a comprehensive solution when it comes to this form of learning. We do not leave you alone. Davina mentioned it. You are not alone in this process. I understand it's a daunting task. It's not how most of us as parents learned, Ivan. So we didn't school like this. So it's a foreign way of schooling to most of us. It doesn't feel natural. It actually is the best way to learn. It's the most natural way to learn, but it's not the traditional way of the physical classroom.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hugo. Yes, and you know, the students that I meet in my classes, they're from Namibia, Kenya, Mauritius, UAE, all over. It's just incredible. Thank you, Hugo. So there are options. You can do it at home. You can use the learning centers with a hybrid system. It's just incredible. But what role do the parents play? So we just want to reduce your anxiety that you might have. What exactly would your role be as a parent with a child that is doing online learning? So there's a big misconception where parents feel that they must now become the teacher. And that's not the case. That's our job. We'll do that for you. We got the academic expertise and we've got great teachers. I'm just amazed. You know, when some teachers that have been onboarded over the last few years, I often send a message to Cecilia and say, wow, you know, after chatting to them or just asking for advice on something like that. They're just phenomenal. We just got great teachers, really experienced, really knowledgeable teachers. So we provide that for you. What is your job then? Well, we need you. The parents need to be on board because you need to be the one that is the coach, the encourager, the one that provides that structure at home for the child to learn, your child, the student. So yes, we are the teachers, you are the coach, if you can look at it that way. We equip you with a roadmap, so you're not alone, like we saw in the testimonial, as Hugo's mentioned. We equip the parents with a roadmap, weekly lesson plans. You've got the dashboard, as I've mentioned before. There are academic reports. There's ongoing support. There are assignments, and then, of course, you get feedback on those assignments on a regular basis throughout the course. So there's ongoing support, so you're never navigating alone. For younger students, parents may provide more hands-on guidance in the beginning, but it doesn't take long for students to become more self-driven and independent learners. So we've helped families where both parents work full-time, families that travel, and even families who weren't sure they could make it work, and they did. They made it work. Right, so now we're going to talk about, so we've now spoken about three big concerns, and as you can see, they're not really, they don't need to be, they're not concerns, if I can put it that way. So there is structure. There is a high level of academics. There is a high level of socialization. It's all there. Right, we're just going to move on now, and we're going to look at how CambriLearn supports learners through transitions. So when when we get a new student, what exactly happens? What is the onboarding process? What support is there? I'm going to hand over now to Cecilia.
Thanks, Ivan. So, you know, I was actually thinking the other day I had to put my kids in a new school. And I mean, that was moving them, they're still very small. So that was just moving them from one school to another physical school. And that in itself was extremely stressful for me. Walking into this new school, understanding all the new jeepers, all the new messages that were sent and the emails and that just was completely overwhelming. And that just made me think again about so many families who are joining us, coming from perhaps a traditional school, or maybe it was a child that was at home with their parents and now they're going to be using a learning platform. So I really can fully appreciate that it is extremely daunting for students and for the parents. So we really do take this transition seriously, and we've developed a structured, supportive onboarding process to ensure that it's as smoothly and stress-free as possible. So every new family that joins us will start and have a one-on-one consultation with an experienced education consultant. You've all met Hugo now. He's one of our, I don't want to say our oldest education consultants, but he's been with us since we started CambriLearn way back. Hugo's been with us, so he is very experienced. And you would meet with somebody like a Hugo, and Hugo would help you select the most suitable curriculum for your student. And he would take you through subject choices. I mean, when it comes to a curriculum like Cambridge, for example, when you get to IGCSE, you know, you can choose depending on what the student wants to go and study. If the student wants to study medicine, perhaps, then Hugo would advise you, you know, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, etc., etc. Same with the CAPS curriculum. There's certain combinations of subjects that need to be taken, and that is what our education consultants would first of all advise all our families. and this would be completely based on their individual goals and whatever their personal needs are. Now, we do often get students who do have a limited academic history, and then what we offer is entrance assessments. And these students can take these entrance assessments, and that can assist us in placing them into the appropriate grade. And of course, again, as I mentioned earlier, we do offer different curricula. That in itself is also quite confusing for a parent, but the purpose of the consult with the education consultant is for the education consultant to explain the pros and cons of each curriculum and simply to see what is going to meet the needs of that particular family. Once our families are enrolled with us, they are introduced to a dedicated success consultant who then takes them through an onboarding process. During this process, they will show them what our learner management system looks like. They will show them how to reach out to their teachers, how to attend their lessons. They will literally answer any questions that they might have if they're unsure where to get their textbooks, unsure how to access their timetable, their calendars. That is what this onboarding with your success consultant, that's what it's all about. And this success consultant will remain a consistent source of support throughout their CambriLearn journey, which it's like, I kind of think of it as each of our families having a private banker that is available to assist them whenever they need anything, and to direct them to whoever they need to perhaps speak to if they're facing any challenges. Further to that, to help our students settle in, we provide orientation resources such as welcome videos that they can rewatch, and guides that explain to them how to manage their time and how to utilize our platform. And these tools are designed to help them gradually adapt to the new routine. And of course, at the same time, they can always reach out to the success consultant as well if they are struggling in any way. And lastly, I have mentioned a couple of times how important parents are in this journey. And to ensure that our parents stay well informed, we have a student tracker. And this real-time student tracker allows our parents to view their child's academic progress at a glance. They can see what assignments or assessments have been submitted, what is outstanding, how the student is performing. And this level of visibility helps parents to stay involved without needing to micromanage, and promotes clear ongoing communication between the home and the school. And then lastly, we also have a dedicated academic support team. And this team, the job of our academic support team is to monitor the performance of all our students. So if a student is not attending a live lesson, or a student is perhaps not submitting assessments in the correct order, so they're submitting assignment 1 and then jumping to assignment 5, our academic support team constantly reaches out to the parents and will let the parents know, listen, this is a problem. If the learner perhaps hasn't achieved a certain grade, or is achieving below average, we will reach out to the parent just to ensure that the parent is always informed and that there are no surprises at the end of the year when they receive a report card, or at the end of the term when they receive their report card for CAPS, for example. So yes, I mean, that is how we try to support our families, and we also have a client support team. So we've got multiple teams. The client support team is available at any point in time if students are struggling, for example, to access, I don't know, their password, or they can't log onto their platform, or they can't reach a teacher, any sort of support that they need. We've got client support available for them as well. Back to you, Ivan. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I just want to say as well, if I just may add something over here as well, like Cecilia said, there's so much support that's available to you. And just as well, just from me speaking as well, I'm a teacher, I'm not a salesman. I never was a good salesman. So you're hearing it from first-hand experience of, as a teacher who deals with students on a daily basis. And I just find that the technologies that we have at the moment, there's just tremendous opportunity to engage with students in a way that you can give them personalized ways of learning. You know, I just remember with COVID, when I was teaching in a traditional school, we were sent home and told to teach online. And I was just amazed at how much I could actually do. And I'm just so privileged to be able to continue doing that at CambriLearn. Thank you very much. I can go into answering some questions. We do have a question there. Hugo, can I hand over to you?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ivan. Yeah, I just wanted to address some of the key differentiators, like what distinguishes CambriLearn from others? Why CambriLearn, right? And I will address that question that was posed about the textbooks, because it actually does go to the way we deliver this form of virtual education. Okay, so the first thing that's been raised already, Ivan, you've alluded to it, is our multiple curricula. We're an umbrella school, so we offer 2 British international exam boards, Pearson, edXL, and Cambridge International, 2 South African exam boards, the IEBs to come and Sakai, so private and public exam board, school exam boards. We offer the South African curriculum in 2 languages, English and in Afrikaans medium. We even have an American international program. We've got an American high school diploma program that's being brought to the rest of the world, to the non-US market. So students are able to therefore transition from their own countries, or to even get creative in homeschooling and to mix curriculums. You don't have to do a single curriculum. Think about that, how creative you can be, especially at the younger ages. When your children are in primary school, you can cherry pick the best of every subject from different curriculums. Imagine that. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to say that does differentiate us. We're also highly flexible. We're unrivaled, I like to say, in our flexibility, because we have both synchronous and asynchronous education, both live and recorded, always. Every package has both, which allows you to then have the ability to self-pace, because you can join our school at any point in the year, finish it at any point in the year. You can interact live and have as much interaction with your teacher outside of class as you wish on our one package. You can actually message the teacher beyond the classroom. So you've got unlimited support, and that means you can then enjoy real interactivity with a subject specialist that you wouldn't necessarily be able to access in a traditional classroom. You have the ability to interact with peers in chat forums, to have immersive virtual classrooms where you can see your classmates as well as your teacher. And then we like to make our stuff multi-sensory, and that's what will answer the question about textbooks. Yes, we do prescribe textbooks for all our curricula, and these are supplementary to our courses. They are required because we believe you need to blend your learning to not just be digital and on screen, but also to be paper-based. Now, those books can often be found in electronic format, so you can, if you prefer, get ebooks, but you will always need books to accompany our courses. Very important that. And then what we're most renowned for is our personalized feedback. So remember, we're all about creating personalized environments, whether you're in the home or in a tutor center or in a traditional school. So we are renowned for our one-on-one teacher support in the fact that we give you detailed written feedback when we grade your continuous assessment. So we do formative and summative assessment. We have practice exercises, we have mock exams, we have practice papers that we use entirely to school you with, so that we're always preparing you for the ultimate qualifying exams. And then we grade you and commentate. We provide commentary on the actual assignment, on the task we set you, to guide you as to how best to answer for the examination board that you're ultimately going to have to qualify for. So our teachers are highly experienced in the examination techniques and in the examination board requirements, in the assessment standards. And that is critical when it comes to being credentialed. Coming out with a qualification, you need to have trusted guides, teachers who know what the examiners are looking for, so that you can be adequately prepared for these global qualifications. And of course, Cecilia, you've mentioned as well the real-time tracking of student attendance, progress, their pacing, their submission of work. This student tracker is incredibly powerful because it now transcends this idea of waiting for a report card from a school. You can get report cards from us as well, of course, you get them, but you can get real-time, live feedback instantaneously every day, transparently to all caregivers, all educational stakeholders. The learner, the teacher, the tutor, the parent can all be instantly and simultaneously informed of where the child is at on a daily basis. That is powerful. That is the power of technology.
Sorry, Hugo,
Okay,
I just want
go
to
ahead.
jump in there. Sorry, I was reading some of the questions. So I don't know if you mentioned, I think something that is you know how proud I am of our teachers, and I like telling people how we get so many CVs and we go through such a strict interview process because we want to select not only subject experts, but we want teachers who truly love teaching. Because I fully believe if a teacher truly loves teaching, the students can feel that passion, and then it awakens a love of learning in the student. So that is super important. But one thing that I just want to add on about what you mentioned about the marking and the personalized feedback is that many of our teachers are examiners for Pearson EdXL, for Cambridge, and for Sakai. So I find it so amusing when our teachers actually mark the assessments, and then we often get feedback from the parents questioning it. And I want to say to the parents, these teachers are actually Cambridge examiners. They mark for Cambridge in May, June, and October, November. And we encourage our teachers to take time off work to mark for Cambridge, because it's a skill that is, I mean, that is what we're doing here. We are prepping our students to do the best that they possibly can in those exit exams. So that to me is one of our I mean, that's a real USP, to be able to say that our teachers are marking 100% in accordance with the necessary standards, and the teachers who aren't perhaps markers for Pearson EdXL, they get moderated by the teachers who are. So you know that you know that the assessments are aligned with what the final exam mark is going to look like.
Thanks for the elaboration. Yeah, I think we needed that explanation from a pedagogy perspective, Cecilia. We've also had a question about, can students progress faster than in a traditional school? Absolutely, because this is so much more time efficient way of learning. So generally a few hours a day, especially in the younger grades, suffices. So you'll find that the school day in this online medium is so much more time efficient, and therefore you can get through school quicker. Now, can you accelerate your learning? Of course, it's self-paced, so you can go at the level of your mastery. If you're ready to do 2 grades in a year, you can with CambriLearn. There are, of course, regulations sometimes that limit when your academic year can start, especially in the South African context of the National Senior Certificate. But in the lower grades, you are free to do 2 grades in a year. But also, let's think about those students who also need more time. What if you can't finish a grade in a year? And the idea also that you can start a grade at different points in a year. That is also possible depending on the curriculum you've chosen, of course. So you don't have to fit traditional school terms. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead,
Sorry,
Cecilia.
Hugo, I know that Jason asked if when it comes to CAPS, can students
Yes.
progress faster? So unfortunately, when it comes to from grade 9 up until grade 12,
Yeah.
so in the lower grades, there is flexibility, but it's not wild flexibility like with British. But the reason from grade 9 we become more rigid is because when they get to FET, that's your grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12, Sakai has become so strict, and I believe that IEB is going to be the same, that it is completely rigid, because the academic integrity of the SPAs are being questioned, because students are doing the work at their own pace, and then they are sharing sharing papers with friends. And the difference between CAPS and Cambridge is that CAPS has what we call the SPAs, which form part of their total year mark. So that's why it's a lot stricter. And from 2026, it's going to be so strict that they even have to write their exams on specific dates. And the reason we make it stricter from grade 9 is because we want to prepare the students for their FET phase when it's going to become stricter. So if you want flexibility, Cambridge is what you want. That's the flexible curriculum. Just to clarify that. I know that we do have one or two more questions here. I know one of the questions was somebody actually asked me why my children don't go to CambriLearn. Well, because they're 2, 3, and 4 years old. So they're still very little. So there isn't really an option for them right now. But I can tell you that definitely when they're older, it will most definitely be, especially one of the hybrid models, one of the affiliates or tutor centers is most definitely going to be something that I am definitely going to be looking at.
I've got a question here from Helen, who I actually know. Hello, Helen. Welcome, welcome. Can a child redo maths and science at a grade 7 level and then English and a second language and introduction to commerce or EMS at grade 8 level from a Cambridge curriculum? Yes, they can, Helen. So that's the other flexibility that's permissible within CambriLearn. You can have mixed grade levels. Again, this is assuming on the British system, because ultimately on the CAP system, when you get to grade 9, you've got to finish grade 9 by January to begin grade 10, and the National Senior Certificate becomes rigid, and the number of subjects you have to take becomes rigid, and you cannot mix exam boards at that stage. But prior to that, absolutely, the grade levels you're talking about, Helen, it is permissible, and it's possible entirely through CambriLearn to mix grade levels of subjects and to mix curricula. Does a portfolio of evidence need to be submitted to the Department of Education? Nicole is asking. So we comply with the Bella Act, Nicole. If you're referring to the latest homeschooling legislation passed in South Africa, we provide all evidence of learning. We provide a suitably qualified assessor to do the grading. So I can assure you that you have all documentation, all proof of learning that you may require to provide to the Department of Education. But you don't have to worry about providing it if it's not asked for. We don't insist that you register the Department of Education. We leave it up to you. Any other questions that you'd like us to take? I think how many live lessons a week are there? I think that will depend on the package and also the grade level. Remember, we don't take students online all day on screen. We don't think that's healthy, and we're not trying to replicate school at home. This is a platform that allows you to school flexibly. So you can then do this at your discretion and therefore do not need to have live scheduled sessions all day. So there are sessions that will be able to be student-led, and there's sessions that will be able to be teacher-led, and you can opt for which of those sessions you take a week, and it won't be daily in every subject. So your day is not filled with live sessions. But I think let's wrap it up, guys, because we do want to have good news for you delivered before you leave us, and that is we actually have a special offer tonight as a thank you for you joining us. So please note that if you've attended tonight and you use a discount code, we will grant you 5% within a week of this webinar. So you've got until next week, Thursday, to claim a 5% discount. You will have a QR code at the end of this by which you can book a free consultation if you're still in doubt as to which curriculum, or you need help with transitioning your child from a traditional school environment or from another provider. You can learn more about CambriLearn and enroll with us. We will gladly consult you for free and help you choose the right subjects and the right curriculum. And with the use of the code, the realities of homeschooling 2025, you will qualify for this discount. But please note, it's valid only for 1 week from today. I think that's all I need to announce. Cecilia, Ivan, anything else you want to conclude with? Parting words.
Okay, no, I just want to thank everybody very much for joining us, and we truly do believe that every child deserves the best education built around them, and that is why we're here. We are here to help students become the best that that they possibly can become. Yeah, that's all from me. Ivan, anything from you?
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, so much for your time, for joining us tonight. Until we meet again.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Cheers.